Hey, welcome to Game Talk. I'm your host, David Mion. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey guys, take 3.
And Mike.
Woo! Take 3.
And we are being flown from Pittsburgh to West Virginia by our gracious pilot, Connor, here.
Oh, you're too kind.
Here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So yeah, this is just the sort of first in a series we kind of want to do where we just sort of exist in different game worlds and do the podcast from those. You know, we don't necessarily need to be doing anything intense like Fall Guys or anything like that, but just sort of chill experience when we, play a game and do our podcast episode. So let us know what you think of that. If you like that, we can keep doing it.
Yep, so I'm going to go ahead and start takeoff here while you lead us into our first topic.
Sure. So obviously the biggest thing to come out from last week is NVIDIA's conference and the reveal of the 3000 series graphics cards, right? And, everyone on the show knows that I'm not the biggest PC gamer. I'm definitely more in the console space, but NVIDIA announcing this is a big deal. So at least I paid some tangential attention to it, and it really does seem like a big deal. These graphics cards that they're putting out seem like a true, generational leap from what they had before with the 2000 series card. So, as PC gaming enthusiasts, I just kind of wanted to first just get both of your gut reactions to NVIDIA's reveal.
I'm gonna go ahead and say rest in peace those who bought a 2080 thinking it was like worth the money.
Future-proof?
Yeah, future-proof, and then immediately for half the price they come out with a card that's double the power.
Yeah.
People are kind of salty.
Yeah, which I don't really agree with, because I don't know. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. If you buy a gaming PC, your PC is not going to be top of the line for very long.
Yeah, I mean, this technology moves so quickly, right?
The 2080 was super inflated in price anyway, but I was kind of expecting it to become cheap in like a generation or two. Like RTX technology, it's the nature of every component ever. Think about SSDs. A terabyte SSD used to be like 2,000 something, and now it's remarkably affordable.
Yeah, I mean, as technology exists longer, it becomes easier to make, it becomes cheaper, and it becomes more efficient. But I think, for me at least, and obviously we can go through all the cards they reveal, but for me, the most interesting one is the 3070, right? So that's the one priced at $500. It's equivalent to what? It's like better than a 2080?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the 3070 is more powerful than a 2080, yes.
Yeah, and that's insane to me, right? So, this, to me, seems like a direct shot at, the console market, Their pricing, their I guess, low-end, relatively speaking, still, insanely high-spec graphics card at $500, which is probably, approximately the price of the next-gen consoles, we think at least, right? So, to me, this says, hey, you don't have to, there's always this stigma around PC gaming, it's it's the most superior experience, but it's also the most expensive experience. So this, to me, is them saying, no, for console-level prices, you can get, a really high-end experience, too.
Yeah. And that's very exciting, to me, because you've heard me on this podcast already a few times say, man, I'm not sure PC can keep up anymore, a little bit worried that, console is just going to be the way to go, and now I'm kind of seeing, not really.
Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA, I don't know, NVIDIA as a company, just, following them, they always seem to deliver, they, and not just deliver, just sort of blow everyone's expectations away, these, I'm pretty sure these graphics cards, I don't know if anyone was expecting a jump this big. Obviously I don't follow the space as closely as you do, but did the actual power of these cards take you two by surprise?
Yes.
Honestly, yeah.
Very
For
much
their
so.
price range, yes. Because everyone was predicting the 3070 would be another $1,000 card, like the 2070, 2080, and the 2080 Super. But surprisingly, it's the same price. It's really affordable for a powerful graphics card. I think it's their most affordable yet on launch in terms of MSRP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it for sure is. And
Although the 3080, doesn't it require like an entirely new power pin connector?
It does, but it comes with an adapter. I don't think there's anybody who's going to... Well, there are going to be people, but there's not going to be a huge number of people going out and buying a new power supply for this, I hope. I know my power supply is strong enough for it.
If I buy a 3080, I'm going to have to buy a new power supply. My little baby one is...
I wasn't, like... I really... This announcement is exciting enough. I want to see what AMD fires back, but I really do think I might build a new PC this coming year, because this is exciting.
Yeah, NVIDIA is really asserting their dominance in the graphics card market, which they've had for a while. I don't see NVIDIA, like, falling out of favor in the graphics card market as much as Intel has in the CPU market.
No.
Yeah, I mean... Sorry, go ahead.
I really don't see a monopoly forming, because both AMD and NVIDIA both have their fanboys and everything.
Yeah.
But AMD's going to have to... I mean, it's going to be tough, because I was thinking, like, if I built another PC, I'd probably go AMD, just because I don't like monopolistic practices, and NVIDIA's kind of bad about those. But it's tough at this point to make that call, because NVIDIA has DLSS, which, for the uninitiated, DLSS is essentially using artificial intelligence to upscale a low-resolution image to something like 4K. So your internal resolution in the game is actually fairly low. Not low, but like 1080p or something. If you can run a game at 1080p now with DLSS for free, essentially, you can get it up to 4K. And basically, DLSS makes things like 8K gaming possible. I believe the 3080, and I know the 3090 can supposedly do 8K.
Yeah, I've heard 8K 60 thrown around. And I just want to comment on DLSS, I think a lot of people have a fixation on resolution, that really isn't needed. And I think, technologies like DLSS, all that power that went into creating a, quote-unquote real 4K image or real 8K image, all of that doesn't really need to be, it's overkill, right? DLSS kind of solves that problem, right? So we might get a faux 4K image, but it's so close to a real 4K image. The only way you'd conceivably notice is if you get right in front of your screen. See, and even then you'd have to have a trained eye.
I have heard some people argue that the DLSS result actually looks better in some ways than a native 4K because you get some things like anti-aliasing for free from the DLSS, essentially. Because it's trying to... Because the DLSS isn't interested in creating what that image would have looked like. It's interested in creating a real-looking image.
So that's so huge to me, right? The sooner these technologies are incorporated into everything, including, console graphics, I feel like developers can do a lot more interesting things with the power they've been given, rather than, speccing solely into resolution.
Yes, I agree with that.
And of course, we had the advent of checkerboard rendering, in this current console generation, which was, a relatively effective technique of achieving 4K resolution, kind of fake 4K that is very close, to the untrained eye, it looks just like 4K, you have to get real close to observe any differences. But this seems like the next step in resolution technology for sure.
The next step in fake 4K, but that's fine. I don't care about 4K. I would much rather have high frame rates, but I'm still into DLSS.
Yeah, out of the trilogy, I guess the three things you think of when you think of image quality, resolution, frame rate, and I guess lighting, right, involving HDR. I think resolution is easily the least important of those things.
I agree. Yeah, I think because HDR is so much more important to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the other thing that NVIDIA has. AMD definitely has a ray trace solution, but I don't know nearly as much about it. And NVIDIA is clearly putting all their cards on this. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it. I'm making sure instruments are good. But
no worries.
NVIDIA's very much... I mean, they named their cards RTX, They've got the Minecraft ray trace coming out, but, the promise that the 2000 series made is actually being made good by the 3000 series, it looks like. Because I remember when the 2000 series came out, people were like, well, yeah, they're good, but if you're not using ray tracing, which most games don't even support, and still really don't, the only game off the top of my head that supports it is Minecraft and Control. But if you don't, you get similar frame rates in a traditional game, because what they really put their money on was the ray trace, and that's just not true with the 3000 series. The 3000 series, both ray trace and not, just blows the 2000 series out of the water, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, I hear you. So, Connor, you're cutting out a lot, but I get the gist of what you're trying to say, right? So, like, yeah, the 3000. So, like, ray tracing was a new concept, right, when the 2000 series came out, and I think, as with all new technologies, like, it takes an iteration or two for it to really kind of start blowing people's socks off, right? So, like, we're seeing that now with the 3000 series cards, and yes, like, only a handful of games really support ray tracing right now, but, like, obviously, as we, like, 3-4 years from now, like, a huge majority of games will be doing so. Like, it's the next big frontier in terms of graphics technology.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine Halo Infinite's going to support it, although I'm not actually certain. I don't see AAA games coming out next gen without ray tracing, and even AA games probably will have some.
And it's not really.
Oh, hold up.
That important to the gameplay experience, I think.
You're gonna want to repeat that. I think that this game is buckling my internet, so you cut out there.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying that Halo Infinite says, like, I think I heard that the ray tracing is coming to Halo Infinite after launch at some point, which is fine because I don't think
it's not
ray tracing is
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I think. As always, NVIDIA is kind of like leading the pack in terms of like graphics innovation, and like you brought up the comparison to AMD earlier, and to me, obviously, like from my kind of outside perspective, AMD is like more like when I think of AMD, I think of the CPUs, not really GPUs. Like when I think of a GPU, I think NVIDIA. Like my mind's associated with NVIDIA, so like I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think NVIDIA's paid a lot of money for that to be the case.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first PC I built was an AMD build. I had an AMD processor, I had an AMD graphics card, and at the time, AMD was not really, they were the budget product in both of those, essentially, and they still are the budget GPU, I think. AMD typically has better prices, and people still, I mean, they're not out of the game, they're competitive, but I don't know. I think NVIDIA is the gaming GPU for this gen. I think it's going to be a few years for AMD to catch up, and that's harsh.
And I think, like AMD, they supply the GPUs to the consoles, is that right?
Yeah, they do.
I think that, so they do the GPU, yeah. And, so I think, like, AMD definitely has a space to play in there, but in terms of, like, the cutting edge, I feel like it's NVIDIA. And I'm eager to see, like, I don't know when and if, obviously when, right? AMD has to have a response to this, but, like, what that response is going to be and, like, how is it going to be priced? I think that's a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's why I'm hesitant to say, like, right away I'm going to go out and buy a 3070. Because AMD, they were my first PC, they've got a soft spot in my heart. I'd love to give them the benefit of the doubt, at least.
Benefit of the doubt,
see what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know how they could top this, but I've said that before and I've been wrong,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of their jobs to prove us wrong there, So, like, so you mentioned, you showed interest in the 3080 specifically, right? And the 3080 is like, what, $700, $800?
It is $700, yeah.
Yeah. And see, that's wild to me that it's like such a step up, right? But it's only $200 more than the 3070.
Right. Well, the 3070 is also just a massive step up from this gen. Like,
yeah,
it's just wild. Like the 3070 being more powerful than the strongest card that's on the market right now is just for $500. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that really puts you in the position again where it's like, man, yeah, you could have a console, or you could have something that's going to be like twice as powerful or so for $200 more. Like,
yeah,
and then they haven't even announced the price of the 3060 yet, I guess, and that could be like on par with console and same price. Yeah,
the 30. So like, 3060 is interesting because like before before I talked to you, Connor, I didn't even know that card existed. But like, so apparently there will be I guess a very entry level tier, right? I'm guessing that's what the 3060 would presumably be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So very exciting coming from NVIDIA. And I just wanted to touch on really quick the 3090, obviously like their biggest new like shiny, most powerful ever graphics card, right? Like,
yeah.
What are your gut thoughts on the 3090 here?
I mean, the 3090. Nobody who's not like blowing all their money should be out buying a 3090. Like, NVIDIA does that a lot. They release these cards that are like, if you buy this card, you're basically like, you know, you're funding research for the next line of cards almost. Like, they're top of the line, you know? But they cost so much. Like, the amount you're paying, like, for the same price, you could get two 3080s and run them in SLI and probably get a better result, although I'm not certain that that's true.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't... I don't know. It seems wild. Although, I will say, I haven't used SLI, but I have used AMD Crossfire, and it's a year mileage may vary type deal if the game does not specifically support it, so I'm not recommending anybody go out and do a multi-GPU setup right now.
Yeah, SLI has been largely thrown under the rug due to DirectX 12 and it not natively supporting SLI. So devs have to go out of their way to support something that a minority of users use.
Right.
That and Crossfire. Both of those have kind of fallen out of favor now that single cards are immensely more powerful and SLI unnecessary. Like, it's just a money sink to SLI now. Which 4 or 5 years ago, that wasn't the case, and SLI was peak performance.
Yeah, at one point it was an affordable way to upgrade. That's why I did it at one point. It was like, my card when I bought it was $300 some bucks, but when I bought the second one, it was only like $100 or something for the second one, 150, and it was an affordable upgrade to double the power of my GPU, basically.
Yeah, and SLI has always been buggy at best, so it's no big deal. It's ultimately whatever.
Yeah.
Now that single card GPUs are more powerful, way more powerful than you can ever get before you could get in an SLI configuration. There's really no point in SLIing unless you're a super power user.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even see any of the major tech YouTubers SLI anymore.
Maybe if you're mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe if you're mining Bitcoin, but I don't even see like
that's
YouTubers.
Which while we bring that up, the 2080 Ti is a beast for mining Bitcoin, and a lot of these 2080 Ti's are about to flood the market because people are going to upgrade for cheap.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, if the 2080 Ti was a beast, right? Like, these new cards should be even more efficient miners.
You see, you can't be certain of that. It is more complicated than that, from what I've read. Yeah. You cannot assume that the more powerful card is going to be the better miner. So, it is more complicated.
Interesting. Okay.
But
yeah, I wonder. It'd be so interesting to see, like, maybe when the prices of these cards go out, like the maybe the price of Bitcoin drastically increases or something, and it's due to NVIDIA putting these cards out or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about Bitcoin. Not my expertise, but
you mentioned the Titan, right? Like the TI. Is that? I'm assuming TI stands for Titan.
TI does not stand for Titan. The GTX Titan is, or it might just be the NVIDIA Titan. I forget, but that is a graphics card that NVIDIA has made that was really marketed less for gaming and more for video rendering work.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think the Titans are no longer around. I think they've replaced it with the Quadro, maybe.
Okay. But they're absurdly powerful and absurdly expensive.
Yeah, the Titan was never optimized for gaming, because you can optimize a GPU for gaming and you can optimize it for video rendering.
Okay, so yeah, I guess so. My question was, typically the TI series cards are like their highest of the high end ones, right? So do you think we're gonna get
a TI is a better version of the original? So like a 2070 Ti is better than a 2070, but not necessarily as good as a 2080.
Yeah, the TI basically means it's overclocked.
Okay.
It's
so like, for example, next year, if NVIDIA releases new cards, they probably wouldn't be a generational leap, but for instance, maybe they'd release TI versions of these cards, overclocked versions?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
Yeah, there was the Titan RTX. That was the last Titan released. MSRP of... I can't tell. It doesn't show in this table. Oh, no, it does. $2,500 for the Titan RTX.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
It's not
But
cheap.
yeah, just speaking as someone who primarily plays on console, right? So like the 3070 is very attractive to me. Like for $500, like I feel like if that was the barrier to entry, I might just build myself a gaming PC like when this card's out, like just to have, to play certain games on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like obviously that's their goal here, like with that price point, with that specific card, if they can get people like me over, I think they'll be happy. So I definitely commend them for doing something that I didn't think I would ever do. Like I use a PC all the time for work, obviously, but like it's definitely like a mental thing for me. But I like separating my work and play areas. But
yeah,
like,
I agree with that. I actually I don't work at my desk very often for that reason. I work from like my coffee table or my kitchen table and stuff. Because I don't, I play games at my desk. I make games at my desk as well, and that's work, but
Yeah. At least it's game related, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I, I enjoy it in quotes, it's not all fun, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think more so than the people that, they're obviously going for the people who buy every console like yourself, but in this past gen, gaming has exploded, I feel like since the PS4 launched.
I agree, yeah.
So many more people play games.
It's become more mainstream than ever.
And I've seen so many people go, they start on their PS4 playing Fortnite and stuff, and then they, watch streamers and stuff, and they're like, oh, PC is where it's at, let me get on that. And now, making that accessible, I really think that they think... They're pricing this competitively because it's a numbers game, and they think that they are going to sell a ton of these. I would think.
I could see it. Yeah, for sure.
Because the PC gaming audience is just growing and growing and growing. I mean, and you can see it. Consoles see it clearly because they're trying to get closer and closer to that PC experience. People are ready to pay for that premium gaming experience,
consoles are also seeing hey, PC space is growing so much. They're even considering putting exclusive titles on there. We already saw Sony do that with Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding.
And Sony has said they're thinking about doing it even more. Although
yes,
I think people are getting a little overexcited at that because a lot of it, they release Horizon on PC, and then oh look, Horizon 2 is coming out exclusive to the PS5. Maybe I should pick that up.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad they're doing it.
I guess what I was getting at is it was almost inconceivable to me that players like Sony would even entertain the thought of doing this 5 years ago, but it's happening now, right? So I think Sony does have to play it kind of smart, right? Because if they go the Xbox route and be all first party games are on PC, then there's no reason to buy a PlayStation anymore,
There's no Sony lives and dies by their exclusives for sure.
Yeah, so and for that to sort of be broken must really mean they see a lot of financial opportunity to make a profit on PC, which is only going to be enhanced by NVIDIA releasing these consumer friendly cards.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Wild thought, but do we ever think Nintendo would release a first party game on PC?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they have before, but they'll never do it again.
Yeah, and I don't know, for some reason, and I guess this is just the companies having their ways with my mind again, but I could, I could foresee Sony putting a game on PC, and it would sort of feel appropriate, but I feel it would just be weird seeing Mario running around on PC.
Oh yeah, even emulating N64 feels weird on PC.
Yeah,
the SNES Classic feels good. But emulating Super NES games on my PC feels terrible, even though it's the exact same thing. I can sort of get away with doing GameCube on my PC because I have that that adapter to plug a GameCube controller in, but it still feels weird.
Yeah. I don't know, Nintendo's just really got their own sort of identity that's so strong. It's like the games have to be played there. I think they've really kind of nailed that aspect of their business.
Just a heads up, we're probably going to get some annoying warnings and stuff here in a second. I'm going to lower our altitude down so that we can kind of see, because we're coming up on Charleston here.
Exciting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, this has been a really smooth flight. Thanks.
I'm an excellent pilot. But it is probably going to scream at me to turn on the landing gear because I'm going to lower us down to like 5,000 meters.
Oh, you're buzzing Charleston.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's see if you can stick the landing on the first try here. Exciting to see you fail. Hopefully you fail. You know, it'd make for funny content.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute.
But yeah, so just going off that Nintendo comment for a second, you know, so like, I don't know if you guys follow gaming. Yeah, so
you cut out. You don't want to repeat that, Ahmed? I don't want people to miss out on what you were saying just because my internet's being bad.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, you know, speaking of Nintendo, right, like, I was gonna see if you guys, you know, like, do you guys follow Game Explain?
I don't.
So they primarily cover Nintendo news, but what I'm getting at is that they have it from a reliable source that, like, the Mario collection, the Super Mario 3D collection or whatever, will be announced imminently, like, as soon as by the end of this week. So, we might hear some very interesting news, probably, like, a day or two after we finish recording this podcast. So, hopefully that's Nintendo's big release for the fall. I'm very much looking forward to that.
That would be very nice. Sorry, I gotta focus for this
Oh no, you're good. I was gonna say, like, I still see clouds on my end. I don't know if the stream's just lagging behind or whatever.
The stream is like stopped.
Oh no, I'm descending. It'll.
Okay.
I've got that.
So. Yeah. Okay, so I guess since we're descending, maybe we could start wrapping up and going into what we've been playing. I know, Connor, you're pretty excited to talk about what you've been playing.
Yeah, I've been playing a little game called Control. I like it a lot. Let me see. Actually, could somebody go before me? I need to focus while I get us down to 5
Okay.
I think the stream died.
Sure. Well, I think as long as it's good on Connor's end, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And God, this is going to be an editing nightmare for me. But anyway, so Mike, why don't you go first?
I've been playing Jurassic World Evolution, and I have mixed feelings about it.
Okay.
It's like a park manager, but at the same time, it feels kind of empty. Like, I just plop the dinosaurs into enclosures, and then I have to micromanage their feeders because apparently the ranger teams aren't smart enough to auto-do that. It just feels grindy. It's kind of enjoyable, but it's obnoxious that there's no automation, and I can't just let it run in the background. I actually have to pay attention and make sure that my dinosaurs don't starve for whatever reason.
So, what kind of game is this? Is this like a roller coaster tycoon, except for with dinosaur exhibits?
Yeah,
or
pretty much. It's
nice.
very much Roller Coaster Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon or whatever.
Yeah.
That same kind of park management. Just the management aspect seems a little less there.
Yeah, not as
normal.
engaging. Yeah.
It's not a bad game. The dinosaurs look great.
It looked like a good game.
Slow.
Last I looked at it.
And I mean, sometimes you just gotta play something with dinosaurs in it, you know?
That is.
Like, we're all humans.
Progression feels super slow because you'll go from island to island, and the money you made on the previous island does not matter when you go to the next island. So I'm currently on an island that started me $1 million in debt with nothing on it, so I had to sell everything.
I think that really bothers me. Like, I hate it when games like cut off the sense of progression. Like, I get having levels.
Can I transfer money from my profitable islands to this island?
Charleston.
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Sierra, X-ray Golf Sierra.
Yeah, that seems a little annoying.
At least I like keep research, and as I build more research labs, I can unlock more research. So the trick is, you can build a research lab on the poor island, and then just go to your profitable island and do all the research, and then come back to your underdeveloped island with all the research.
Okay. Yeah, financial systems in games like that usually bother me. Like, Kerbal Space Program's a weird comparison, but I hated the money in that game. It made it like really boring for me.
It's not even like hard to make money in the game. It's just a waiting game of earning profits every minute, and there's no fast forward. So you're just sitting there for like an hour waiting for enough money to purchase.
Are there like microtransactions that let you speed that up?
Nope. You just have to sit and wait and suffer.
Well, I'm glad there's no microtransactions at least, because that'd be lame.
There's a lot of DLC, but...
well, that's typical for that genre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just dinosaurs. There's not a lot of dinosaur variety either. I didn't pay for the game. Actually, I got it through the Humble Monthly, so I...
Oh, I have this too, then.
Yeah, you probably have it. It was a Humble choice a couple months ago.
Yeah, I probably do. I just don't do... Like, I haven't cashed in my Humble games in a bit, honestly.
It's a cautious recommendation. I'd recommend it on sale, because it's not like... If you like Jurassic Park, yeah, it's great. You get to run your own Jurassic Park, but it just feels a little grindy and slow. Like, I've always liked simulation games that have time controls, so I don't have to wait an hour for me to get enough money to progress. I can just slap it into fast forward and, get there faster. It's just unnecessary padding of the length.
Yeah.
I'm not able to do anything in that 20-30 minutes I'm waiting for enough money. I'm just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, I ran into that in Satisfactory a little bit.
Cleared to land runway 23 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
It's a frustrating mechanic.
Satisfactory is, though, you can just leave it running because there's no... Because Jurassic World requires you to actually, like, pay attention to it because you can't just leave it running. Satisfactory, you can just leave it running and things will just progress as normal.
Yeah.
Jurassic World, I actually have to pay attention to the game so that my dinosaurs don't starve. Like, that's the worst part. I don't mind when I have to wait, like, a couple hours for something to go through.
I apologize to our viewers for how framey this is.
So, Connor, it looks like you're kind of getting close to landing here.
Yeah, I think that flashing light is the airport. I'm no expert, but I'm really hoping that's it.
It looks not what you want your pilot to say.
Yeah, there's a reason I only fly in the simulator. We're landing there, whether it's the airport or not. I'll tell you that.
Let's see how this goes here.
Yeah, that's all I got about.
I will say though, like, just yeah. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mike.
It's fine.
I will say though that, like, just the visuals, like, looking out the window of this plane, it kind of looks like the hills of West Virginia. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, if I fly a little farther, you'd see Charleston, but I kind of want to see if I can land.
Oh, please don't crash into the mountain, or crash into the mountain. Either one.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks that the mountain right before the airport's taller than the one the airport's on. That's a fun little tidbit.
Yeah, as a concerned passenger, I feel uneasy with how close you are to the ground right now.
I am not that close to the ground.
Okay.
I don't know.
It kind of looks like it.
No, I don't think I'm very close to the ground. When you actually put her down, it feels disgusting.
Oh, I see the runway.
Yeah.
Okay, this is it. Let's see if you do it.
Yeah. It's the passengers on this plane are nauseous right now.
Yeah, I know. The frame rate makes it very difficult to do this.
That's why you need that 3080.
Line up, Connor.
Let the pilot work.
I'm still going too quick. I gotta pull up a little, slow down.
This is actually nerve-wracking. Oh? You're kind of off the runway. Oh my god, that was rough. Yeah, I think you did it.
Going to 121.8.
Yep, we're down. Okay.
Wow. Congrats. That was awesome.
Not a professional pilot. Did my best.
The plane's shaking apart.
Gonna turn that over to the AI to park us, because I don't know how to do any of that, but...
Yeah, that was a bumpy landing, but, like, we didn't die, which is
Any
awesome.
landing you can walk away from. That's what they say. Is he not gonna do it?
Alright, well, congrats, Connor, on that landing. But while you figure that out, I'll just talk about what I've been playing. So, quick update. I'm still trying to get the Fall Guys Platinum. Like, with how busy my schedule has been lately, like, I've only been playing games on the weekends. So, I got several wins last weekend, but, no trophy. So, still trying to do that. I did briefly play another game, however. So, I do have another game to report this week. And I played a free Battle Royale game called Hyperscape. I don't know if either of you have heard of this.
That's the Ubisoft Battle Royale, right?
I don't know who made it. Maybe it's Ubisoft.
I believe it's Ubisoft. It looked good.
But yeah, it's in beta right now, and it was pretty entertaining. Like it reminds me a lot of Apex at first glance. Apex Legends, it like definitely is using the ping system from Apex, which is revolutionary and other games should use.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's got some really neat mechanics to it. So it has this concept of, like unlike other battle royales, right? Like, well, I don't want to say weapons. So weapons aren't exactly rare in other battle royales, but like in this one, like there are weapons everywhere, and there's a good reason for that, right? So like when you get a weapon, if you pick up a weapon of the same type, what happens is you get like a fused weapon, right?
Oh.
So like you can fuse a weapon up to 4 times, and that's like leveling your weapon up, right?
Yeah.
So there's this concept of leveling your weapon up through the game, and you also like along with weapons that are scattered around the map, there are also abilities, right? So you can pick up these various abilities, and you can also find copies of those abilities to level those abilities up, fuse those abilities. So that's a really unique mechanic I haven't seen before in a battle royale, and I think that's this game's strongest strength. And like the abilities are very like varied and neat. Like one ability like summons like a giant ball around you, and you essentially become a giant bouncy ball. Like so, like
Oh, wow.
it helps you
that sounds really fun.
It helps you like get away and like provides you protection, but also like everyone sort of knows where you are because like you're in a giant bouncing ball all over the map.
Yeah.
Like another one ability like makes you invisible. Another one like summons a giant wall in front of you. Another one like propels you in the air and like slams you down for a powerful slam attack. So all these abilities are really cool and creative, and yeah, I think the fusion system really lends this game to have some like uniqueness in this endless sea of battle royales that we get.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Like I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. It's unique, and it's free, which is pretty huge. And it's only in beta, right? So like, the experience was a little choppy. Lots of lag and stuff. But like the game was fun enough for it to not detract too much. So I recommend checking that one out if you're itching for a sort of unique take on the battle royale genre.
Yeah, I might have to.
And that's it for me. What about you, Connor?
So I've been playing Control Ultimate Edition. I just want to say I bought it on Steam, but I did not like wait intentionally for it to come out on Steam to buy it. I really don't like that. I don't really buy into that, but it was a better deal on Steam. I got the version with all the DLC.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I'm a fan of SCP stories. The SCP Foundation, which is like a genre of horror, and not necessarily horror, but like it's a genre of writing where you like write about like weird events, like paranatural events, and like basically what they're typically writing is about something called the SCP Foundation, which is an organization that tries to control these events and like keep the world safe from them typically. And Control is clearly heavily inspired by that. You play as Jessie Faden, a girl who wanders into what is called the Oldest House, which is a building in New York that is ancient. Like, no one built it, it was just there. And it is what's called a place of power, I think it's called, or at least an altered world event. And it's this massive shifting building. It's not a house. It's like most of it is shaped like an office complex, but there's like a quarry in it too, because it's way bigger on the inside than the outside, and it's very much interdimensional-y and stuff. And I just love it. I love that setting. The writing was just amazing. Jessie Faden is a fun character. All the characters were good. The game's gorgeous. It plays beautifully. My only complaint, and this is like something that kind of felt like it was done for broader appeal, but it's a third-person shooter, and some of the stuff you do, like you get new abilities and stuff throughout the game by interacting with what's called an object of power, and I don't really like that. That's not really... They kind of simplified the... Like, the whole point of these SCP stories and stuff is that nothing about it is simple. But obviously, for it to be a third-person shooter game loop, they really had to simplify it. So you never really have to manage these objects of power. Like, you never have to, like, watch out for what they're doing or anything. That you see them much more as power-ups.
Okay.
But other than that, oh my god. And the game, you know, I didn't have ray tracing. I had it on just ultra 1440p, high frame rate. I wasn't really keeping track of it. But it was just incredibly fun, incredibly beautiful game. I loved the DLC too. I just finished that yesterday. It's made by the same developers as Alan Wake, and I feel like I really would have enjoyed one of the DLCs a lot more if I had played Alan Wake before. But other than that, just amazing story, difficult to understand in all the right ways, a lot of players going on. It's kind of a... I think you would like it, Amid, because it's...
No, I've had my eye on Control for a while. Like, it seems like right up my alley.
It's a very cinematic third-person shooter type deal, but,
does the gameplay kind of evoke... Did you ever play Infamous?
No. But no. I know Infamous, and not really. It's definitely heavy on shooting.
Yeah.
Which
Infamous was essentially a third-person shooter with powers as well, which is why I asked.
Oh, I didn't know Infamous had shooting.
Yeah. So, like, Infamous, like, your main attack was essentially just, like... You know, you aim and you shoot your lightning blasts or whatever. It was a shooter, a third-person shooter, essentially, with powers.
Okay, I didn't realize that. But yeah, it probably is kind of similar to that. But really, I would recommend this game to just about anybody. I loved it. I got it for $30 on Steam for the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty much just waiting for like the PS5 Ultimate Edition because I want to play it with the bells and whistles.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's a game that will really benefit from those, I think. I'll probably replay it if I build a new PC.
Yeah, there is a bit of controversy surrounding this game based off the, announcement that, like, they're not doing, like, a free upgrade for the next-gen version or whatever. But, like, that's on a per-company, per-publisher kind of basis,
I get that, but at the same time... people don't understand game development a lot of the time. Like, it's not like they just pressed a button and had a PS5 version, Yeah. And it
took work,
it took work. And, like, also, it's not a game that released close to the launch. Like, it's one thing for games that are launching on both platforms and, like, released super close. But this game came out, like, 2 years ago, didn't it? Like, it's not super new.
Yeah, it's not old, I think 2018, right? 2018?
So 2 years ago, yeah.
Actually, it might be 2019. I'm going to look it up because I want to be sure.
Still, well before what I would consider the threshold to have to give away a free version on the... on the new console.
2019, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the reason people are mad is because, like, you do have people coming out and saying, like, hey, like, obviously Halo, free Xbox Series X version upgrade and things like, there's been other announcements, too, like, I think some of the PS5 games, like Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, they're like, yeah, free PS5 game. But, like, we have companies like, 2K and Activision being like, yeah, next-gen games are going to cost $70. So...
Yeah, I got mixed feelings.
I don't know. It's all variable, but, like, I don't know. I don't think you should be too surprised or upset at this point, like...
And just stepping back, like, because I do want to say, like, beyond all that, I don't want to talk about why you should or shouldn't buy Control. It's a fun game, and that was the point of my...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, is all the DLC out for it? I know there's been some DLC.
Yeah. And they've heavily hinted that a Control 2 is going to happen, but I think they're doing another Alan Wake game before that, which...
Yeah, I certainly with the reception and the sales for Control, I think there definitely will be a Control 2.
But this is a game where, like, the extra content is so interesting to me. Like, I'm not one to typically read all the stuff you find along the way, but, like, all the documents and stuff you find are written in the format of, like, an SCP story, but, like, they're also relevant to the main story of the game, and that was incredible to me. And I'm actually like going out, and like some of the side quests have been almost as interesting as the main missions in the game, which blows me away. So I'm going back and doing a lot of those as well.
Yeah, and I've also heard just like exploring the nooks and crannies of what was it, the oldest house, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, oldest house.
Yeah, so I heard that like just exploring that place was a real joy as well.
It is, and it's just super cool the way they did some of the effects. Like, the effects are simple, but like incredibly good. Like, there are parts where you like restore parts of the house, and like all this otherworldly geometry just kind of fades away into an office building, and it looks really good.
Yeah, and you know, obviously I think this more than anything is like the prime like ray trace showcase game right now. I feel like this game, you know, like I've seen it all the time, like used in comparisons for ray tracing videos, and obviously, you know, the Ultimate Edition coming out, you know, with on the next gen consoles and everything. I think like this game will still be a showstopper, even though it came out in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, it also has like DLSS. It does another thing that I think is really smart. I've seen other games try to do this, and they really don't get it right. But this game interweaves live-action cutscenes.
Oh, really? Wow.
And normally I hate that, but they do it so intelligently in this. Anytime you're watching a live-action cutscene, it's not in the game world. It's on a screen in the game, and it works extremely well.
Huh.
Because like you'll find like there's this guy, Dr. Darling, I believe is his name, and you're finding reports that he did because he was the head of research, and he's recorded a bunch of VHS tapes essentially, and you're watching them throughout the game, but he's appearing on these old CRT TVs and stuff, and so it's not uncanny at all. It like just works, and I think that's incredible.
That's awesome. So I just kind of want to point out one thing. You follow Digital Foundry, right?
I do.
So I don't know if you've seen this, but one of their employees, John, I think, he did a video of Control running on a CRT TV.
Oh, really?
And it was absolutely gorgeous. Like, I really encourage you to find that video, because like he's trying to make a case that like in the transition from like CRT to like HD, we really like lost something in terms of like game feel and, you know, visualization.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I play all my retro games on a CRT for a reason.
But like, you know, like this game was running Control in like 540p or whatever, and it was like one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. So like it's such a unique thing, you know, and obviously I feel like that era is, you can't really get it back. Like, people don't make CRT TVs anymore, but it's just like an interesting window in what could have been, you know. So like, definitely if you're into Digital Foundry, I encourage you to check that video out.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to mention before we wrap up? Take that as a no. All right. So I think that will do it for us this week. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow us at @podcastgamestalk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on any podcast service you use and on YouTube. And click the link in the description to join our Discord and chat with us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yep, fly safe, guys.
Yeah, and thanks for not killing us all in a horrific plane accident.
On the third try.
Yeah, on the third try. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.